This is Entertainment for Review, and it's time for another episode of The Big Bang Theory, and today we're going to be taking a look at The Big Bang Theory Season 3, Episode 12, The Psychic Vortex. And the episode gets this title because Penny gets into a disagreement with Leonard about the fact that she believes in psychics. This episode starts off with Leonard and Howard excited about the fact that they're going on a double date with Penny and Bernadette. However, who's not excited about this is Raj, because this leaves him as the odd man out for the night. You could include Sheldon in that as well, but he could care less, and prefers his own company. Raj attempts to persuade Sheldon to go with him to a mixer at the university. Sheldon, of course, declines, and instead invites Raj to the imaginary world of Flatland. In the car on the way to their date, Leonard, Penny, Howard, and Bernadette are all making small talk, and the topic of Penny's career comes up. Here we get our title moment because Penny reveals that she talked to a psychic and they said if she gets a haircut she would get an acting job. Now Penny had been nervous to tell Leonard this because of how he might react, and he promised he wouldn't make fun of her, and then when she tells him, he immediately begins laughing and does make fun of it.
Kiku told me that if I cut my hair, I'm gonna get a national commercial.
This of course makes Penny upset and angry and probably makes everybody else in the car feel uncomfortable. This was a real knuckleheaded move on Leonard's part. What in the world was he possibly thinking? Meanwhile, Raj had convinced Sheldon to come with him to the university mixer by giving him his limited edition Green Lantern lantern, which Sheldon chose to bring inside with him. Raj tells Sheldon that he basically wants him to be his wingman and explains that role to him. He began talking to a girl named Abby, who is interestingly enough played by Danica McKellar, best known for her role of Winnie Cooper on The Wonder Years, and she gets her friend to come over who's very impressed with Sheldon's Green Lantern lantern.
Is that the limited edition Green Lantern?
In brightest day, in darkest night, no evil shall escape my sight.
Oh, Sheldon appears to actually be doing a pretty good job as a wingman. After Leonard's mistaken judgment, the dinner at the double date is going very awkwardly. Penny is obviously angry and Leonard is just digging in deeper. Howard is trying to poke the wound because what are friends for? And Bernadette just probably feels pretty awkward. And after all this, Leonard has the ability to still think that something might possibly happen between him and Penny that night. And it most assuredly does not. He re-enters his apartment. He finds Raj and Sheldon playing Rock Band with the two girls from the mixer. Next day, Leonard's in his lab melting action figures to relieve some of his frustration. Howard comes in and Leonard confides that he's not sure what to do because he's not sure if he can be with someone who believes in psychics and he's not going to set aside he believes to be his integrity on the issue. Howard in his own way tries to point out that it's very difficult to find someone who believes in exactly all the same things as you do, and basically tells Leonard he'll be back to dating himself if he holds to that standard. Raj wants to go out on a second date with the two girls from the mixer, and Sheldon is not surprisingly not interested. But Raj does have a way to convince him. He offers to give him his Incredible Hulk hands signed by Stan Lee. And this works, although much to Sheldon's dismay, he says that he can't wear them on the date.
Hulk agreed! A second date with puny humans!
Leonard catches up with Penny and ultimately apologizes for insulting her beliefs, and even agrees to meet her psychic. He was planning to give her a book that shows why all psychics are frauds, but luckily abandoned this pursuit. And his big issue here was just not being understanding, and luckily he came around on that. He doesn't need to believe exactly what Penny believes, but he certainly should not be mocking it when he hears it. But it seems like they'll get past this little tiff. Then do see Raj and Sheldon on the second date. Sheldon is talking to Martha. It appears to be going pretty well as they're discussing Flatland, and Sheldon, breaking Raj's rule, is wearing the Hulk hands. Meanwhile, Raj is making out with his date on the chair. Sheldon says it's time for bed, and Martha thinks this is an invitation, but it is not, and Sheldon just leaves, going to bed. And we end the episode with Martha knocking on Sheldon's door, saying that Raj and Abby are getting busy out in the living room and she'd like to hang out in here for a while. Sheldon agrees and lets her in, but then says he's going to go sleep in Leonard's room. I actually find this surprising because Sheldon let her into his room, which he does not normally approve of people being in his room. This episode has a few interesting takeaways. For Howard, we see for the moment he's still moving forward successfully with Bernadette. For Leonard and Penny, we see a little bit of an argument. It shows while their relationship is still progressing, they are not fully synced up yet. And honestly, Leonard doesn't come out looking good in this episode, but luckily makes a recovery at the end. Personally, for this episode and this disagreement, I think Leonard was in the wrong. Let me know what you think in the comments. Raj actually ends up having some success with a woman, and of all things with help from Sheldon. Although be it temporary successes, we don't see either Abby or Martha going forward. Sheldon proved himself as a wingman when bribed into it, although we see that he's oblivious to the fact that Martha was in fact interested in him. We know that Sheldon at this point is not really interested in any sort of relationship. But like I said, I do find it a minor inconsistency that Sheldon let the girl stay in his room at the end of the episode, and would willingly go to stay in Leonard's room. This episode, overall, I would score it around a 7.6 out of 10. Let me know your thoughts on this episode in the comment section below. Please be sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel, and keep an eye out for my next video coming soon.